Hi, dear students. A warm good morning to all of you. Welcome to one more session of Immunology, and today we are talking about the adaptive system. As we all know, the immune system mainly consists of two different types. The innate immune system, which has been developed when we are born itself, that is, the immunity which we get inbuilt when we are born itself refers to as the innate immune system, and various physicochemical as well as cellular factors do contribute towards the innate immune system. And we all know that there is another set of immune system also that exists within us. That is referred to as the adaptive or the acquired immune system. Now, what is the speciality of this acquired or the adaptive immune system? Each time when we get exposed to a particular type of antigen or a foreign microbe or something like that, what happens is we get an immunity which is specifically against that particular antigen, and this immune response is always been found to be this memory of this particular response has always been maintained within a body. And so if a next exposure with the same antigen does occur, we have a faster response, or we act fast when the second response is there. This is all coming under the category of acquired immune system or the adaptive immune system. And you can see that when each and every antigen comes, or a different, when, like, first you have poliovirus, you get an immunity against that. Of course, polio is not, it's a dangerous thing which is eradicated right now. I just mentioned the example. So if you get an immunity against one particular pathogen, then, when the second pathogen comes, you get an immunity against the second pathogen also. So, like that, in the case of the acquired immune system, the immunity which we develop against each and every pathogen is being found to be specific. If you have an immunity first against measles virus, you have the immunity for that. And secondly, if you're getting infected by another one like dengue virus, you get the immunity, you develop an immunity against the dengue virus. So in the acquired immune system, the immunity which we developed on exposure to an antigen is being found to be specific. And this immunity is being developed throughout our life each time we get exposed to a particular antigen. And of course, the immunological memory of each antigen exposure is being maintained within the body, so that the next time the same antigen comes, we can act fast against that particular antigen. And the immunity which has been developed against different pathogens has been found to be diverse. That is, you get immunity against different pathogens by the acquired immunity. And of course, a self and a non-self recognition is also being possible with the help of the acquired or the adaptive immunity. Now, what are the factors which are mainly responsible for the acquired or the adaptive immune system? We can see that it is basically the cellular factors, and the cells, mostly the B lymphocytes and the T lymphocytes, are the ones which have been responsible for the adaptive or the acquired immune system. Now, the B lymphocytes, they can occur in two different forms, either as a clonal B cells as well as a memory B cells. And the T lymphocytes, they can mainly occur as three different forms: the T helper cells, the T suppressor cells, as well as the T cytotoxic cells. What are they? We will be explaining it. So let's move on. What is the acquired immunity? So acquired immunity is the immunity which we developed during our lifetime when we get exposed to different types of antigens. This can also be divided into active immunity as well as passive immunity. Now, active immunity, it refers to the immunity which you developed after being exposed to an infection or from getting from a vaccine. That is, I told you, your body itself should develop it. So, when your body gets an infection, you are getting exposed to a particular antigen. Okay, or sometimes if you that's a natural method, or sometimes what does it means, you will take some components of the antigen, make a vaccine, and you will vaccinate yourself. So these are the two ways by which you can get exposure to a antigen. either by natural methods, or by natural means through the air, waters, food, and all that, the pathogen can happen to enter your body. And then your body produces antibodies against that particular infection. That is a natural active immunity. But sometimes what you do, you take some components of the antigen, either in the heat kill form or in different forms. You might take its toxoid or something like that. And so you take a part of the antigen in an inactive form or in a killed form, and you will take a vaccination. And when you give the vaccine within your body will in turn produce antibodies against that vaccine vaccination based reaction which was being created within your body. So that is referred to as an artificial case. So in either of these cases, let it be artificial or natural, your body is getting exposed to the antigen and you developed a immunity against it. That is a active immunity. Now, the acquired immunity can also be classified as a acquired passive immunity, where the immunity is being acquired from someone or something else. Now, in this case, what happens is you need not get exposed to the antigen, but the preformed antibodies of a person is being given to you, and then you get the immunity against that particular antigen. So now if you go to consider a natural means, always you know that from the mother to the baby, where through the milk, mother's milk basically, the antibodies gets transmitted from the mother to the baby. And if the mother has an immunity against one particular pathogen, she will be producing antibodies in her blood, as well as in her milk also, that antibody will be present. So when the baby happens to drink the milk, the immunity is being transferred from the mother to the baby. That is a natural passive immunity. Now, sometimes you can also have a passive immunity transferred through the artificial methods. Now, what is the artificial method? The artificial means is the antibodies are being acquired from an immune serum medicine. Now, in the case of COVID 19 itself, we have what? We have serum therapy. What we do? A person who's already been recovered from COVID 19 would have a high immune serum within his blood. So we take the plasma and the serum is being taken, and all the antibodies of that are being pulled in and injected into another person. And that is an artificial means of transferring the antibody to a next person, to a next individual. And that is a artificial passive immunity. Now I use the term here antibodies throughout. Where are these antibodies coming from? These antibodies are mainly being produced by the B lymphocytes. So, in the acquired immune system, the B lymphocytes are the ones which mainly produce the antibodies. And these antibodies can either, it might be developed actively in a person by exposure to an antigen, or sometimes you can obtain the antibodies either from the natural means, in the case of the mother to baby transfer, as well as by the artificial means when you give a serum therapy. So the active immunity as well as the passive immunity is two different types of immunities, as we had mentioned, and it can be either by the artificial method or by the natural method, both in the active as well as in the passive immunity. And you can see that in the natural passive immunity, it is the IgG type of antibodies which will cross the placenta. uh, okay, that is from the mother to the baby, either through the mother's milk, or you can also see that there are certain antibodies which can cross the placenta and reach the fetus. That is also a type of natural passive immunity. And the immunoglobulin type variety IgG, there are different types of immunoglobulins, and one among them is IgG. That is the one which is passing from the mother to the fetus, even when the baby is not being born. And you have the artificial passive immunity, where you give the what the preformed antibodies are injected into the host for immunity. Now sometimes you can have sometimes anti-venom, rabies vaccines, and these are all cases where artificial passive immunity can be developed. So you have active immunity where you have the natural infection gives you immunity, or it can be by the artificial means when you give a vaccination, or the passive immunity either through the maternal antibodies, either through breastfeeding, or sometimes the placental transfer of antibodies also do occur, or you have the artificial immunity where the antibodies from one person is being transferred to the next person. So what are the differences between the active and the passive immunity? Active immunity is mainly being produced actively by the host immune system, and it is produced due to the contact with the pathogen or by its antigen. But in the case of passive immunity, it is mainly received passively and there is no active host participation. And it is mainly been produced due to the antibodies obtained from the outside. Now, active immunity is durable and effective in production, but passive immunity is transient and it has been found to be less effective. The immunological memory is being present in the active immunity, but no memory is being present in the passive immunity. And you can see that the booster effect on subsequent dose is possible in the case of active immunity, but the subsequent dose is being found to be less effective in the case of passive immunity. And immunity is effective only for a short period for active immunity, but the immunity develops immediately in the case of passive immunity. So if you go to consider the active immunity, uh, you cannot generalize like it is always the memory is being retained, okay, because I told you earlier we have a memory, but that is possible only in the active immunity cases. In the passive immune system you do not have that particular case. And of course a booster effect on subsequent dose is possible. Now, the types of acquired immunity, as I told you, it could be either the B lymphocytes or the T lymphocytes, which are mainly responsible for the acquired immunity. In the case of B lymphocytes, they are mainly the ones which are producing the antibodies. And the immunity which we get by the antibody production is referred to as the humoral immunity. That is, when pathogens are destroyed by the production of antibodies, then it is known as an antibody mediated or a humoral immunity. And this is brought about by the B cells with the help of antigen presenting cells as well as the T helper cells. And the antibody production is the characteristic features of vertebrates only. So the acquired immunity, when the B lymphocytes act, they produce antibodies and that is referred to as the humoral immunity. And sometimes you can see that the T cells or the T lymphocytes will directly go and attack the antigens or interact with the antigens and try to kill them. That is mainly coming under the cell-mediated immunity. So when pathogens are destroyed by cells without producing antibodies, then it is known as the cell-mediated immune response or the cell-mediated immunity. And that is mainly being brought about by the T cells, macrophages as well as the NK cells. As I told you, you do remember that NK cells as well as the macrophagic cells also do occur in the in the what? In the innate immune system also. So when the T lymphocytes mainly interact with the acquired immune system, now the NK cells and the macrophages, they mainly act as antigen presenting cells over here. And the T lymphocytes will directly, once they are being presented by the antigen presenting cells to the T lymphocytes, they mainly kill the and pathogens. So that's about the acquired immune system. And I guess you have an idea right now. So we will be going into the details of what are the B lymphocytes, T lymphocytes, and how are they being formed, what are the different types of it in the coming class. So thank you for now.